Have you ever met a genuinely good person who always gets exploited by others? Someone who is kind, helpful, and honest to a fault, but who never seems to get ahead in life. Or perhaps you've been that person yourself, always doing the right thing, being a good boy or good girl, only to find yourself taken advantage of and passed over for promotion in life. On the surface, this sounds like a great thing. Who wouldn't want to be loved by those they rule over? One lesson might be that we should not be afraid to make tough decisions, even if they are unpopular or seen as morally ambiguous. As the old saying goes, there are no free lunches. And when someone is offering us something for nothing, there is usually some strings attached. Whether it's making tough decisions, not trusting those who are too eager to help us, or setting boundaries. When necessary, there are situations in life where being a little bad can help us achieve our goals and be more effective in reaching our potential. However, this doesn't mean that we should abandon morality altogether. Instead, it means that we should be smart and strategic in how we interact with others and make decisions in life, even if that means sometimes being a little bad. This doesn't mean that we should be cynical or suspicious of everyone, but rather that we should be aware that everyone has their own interests, and that we should not expect others to do things for us out of the goodness of their heart. Instead, we should try to find mutually beneficial arrangements where everyone walks away feeling like they got a good deal. For example, a business owner may face a decision where they have to choose between doing what is best for the company and doing what is best for their employees. This doesn't mean that we should go around trying to scare people, but rather that we should be aware that there are situations where being too nice or agreeable can lead to negative consequences. For example, in a workplace, an employee who is always going above and beyond may be seen as a valuable asset. But if they start to say yes to everything and take on too much responsibility, they may eventually burn out and be less effective at their job. In this situation, it would be better for the employee to set boundaries and say no to some requests, even if it makes them seem less agreeable or even a little feared by their colleagues. Perhaps there is a way to save the company money by laying off workers. On the one hand, this may be seen as the right thing to do for the company, but on the other hand, it may be seen as morally ambiguous or even wrong to treat employees so callously. In this situation, the business owner needs to weigh the options and decide what is truly best. Even if it means making an unpopular decision, sometimes being a little bad, like laying off workers to save the company, can be better than being good. But Machiavelli argues that a ruler who is too beloved by his subjects will be seen as weak and ineffective. Why? Because being loved implies a certain equality between the ruler and the ruled. If the ruler is seen as one of the people rather than above them, then they will be less likely to be respected and more likely to be manipulated by their advisors or even overthrown by their enemies. Machiavelli therefore argued that a ruler needed to be feared as well as respected in order to maintain control. This doesn't mean that they should be tyrannical or oppressive, rather that they should be capable of making tough decisions that may be unpopular but are ultimately in the best interest of the state. This phenomenon was explored by the 16th century Italian philosopher Niccolò Machiavelli, who argued that sometimes being too good can be a bad thing. Let us examine this idea further and see what lessons we can take from it for our own lives. Machiavelli's most famous work is The Prince, a treatise on how to acquire and maintain political power. Though he is often misunderstood as advocating ruthless and immoral behavior, Machiavelli was not suggesting that people should abandon morality altogether. Rather, he was arguing that those in positions of power need to be shrewd and cunning in their dealings with others, even if that means sometimes acting in ways that are morally ambiguous. In other words, sometimes it can be better to be a little bad than to be good. To illustrate this point, Machiavelli uses the example of a ruler who is loved by his subjects. So when it comes to our own lives, what can we learn from this? Another lesson we can learn from Machiavelli's ideas is that we should not trust those who are too eager to help us. Finally, we can learn from Machiavelli that sometimes it is better to be feared than loved. In conclusion, Machiavelli's ideas about the paradox of virtue teach us that sometimes being a little bad can be better than being good. This is your host. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please leave a like and subscribe so you won't miss any future videos.